LinkedIn Local from Meetup. How you guys doing? Good? Yeah. Amazing lineup for tonight. And again, I'm just going to talk. My name is UMAR. I'm a professional speaker, trainer, coach. I focus on personal branding, thought leadership branding, to that next level. And you know, many years ago, we started. Which is one of the founders of the LinkedIn Local movement. The whole idea was to take LinkedIn, which is an online platform, to in person, which is great. They started doing these things around the world. And East Coast is fun. And he'll talk later on the panel. But the first event, I remember he invited me, and so I went to the panel. I was like, "Oh, this is fun! Like, how fun is this?" The energy was great. People are like sucking. They're bumping the contacts. It was so much fun. So then I didn't help them, so I started helping. And then by the third, I was like, okay, you know what? I definitely want to help these things. So I kind of those things, and it's been a lot of fun. We've done a ton of events across the many years, starting in 2017, and we focused on topics like women bring. We talked about resilience. We talked about technology. We talked about financing. The different topics that we have a panel, maybe a short talk on the speaker, but overall, they've been really a lot of fun. The big thing, the networking piece, and tonight, and they also love the open mic piece, actually, because people just share their story and share. Today, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk a bit about how we're going to run tonight, a little bit of the background. I'm going to open it up to the panel, and they're going to set up their talk, and then we'll have the open mic session, and then the rest of you. Honestly, it's just networking, because the feedback was always, we love those, we have more time to network. So we gave you 45 minutes. That was great. Housekeeping. First off, I want to thank Swish for helping me organize it. I want to thank the team. So Xero for hosting the space. It's a great space. We have the volunteers like Ramneet and Ritik and Sanch and Anmol and Rika and Larry. They both all helping to organize, promote these events, and we really appreciate it. Joining the team, you certainly can let us know. Washington down there, past the corner, you can order food or drink for yourself, help yourself. If you want to tweet this out or Instagram story this out, my camera is being used for live stream, so I can use some photos. That's my son back there.
Second event. Second.
Maybe we'll remember this dude. He's the guy. He's the speaker. Proud dad. Local hashtag LinkedIn Local TO. If you want to, you can also tag like DYPDTO. You can tag us. You can find us. But by all means, take photos, take videos. Let's let the world know Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatnot. So we really appreciate that. The other thing I want to mention is that we had our biggest event for LinkedIn Local, actually right before the pandemic, and then a month later the pandemic hit, and then just like everything fell apart. It was really the team was doing a lot of work, and everyone had to deal with their own stuff, right? So it's doing your own thing, and so it was really hard. And for me personally, it was hard because I was just like gone. I had nothing until November, and so it was really. And then I don't know if you've done virtual training, but man, it sucks. It's like it's not the same as being in person. Training people on that exhausted. But if I could go a whole day with people because it's energy, and so I'm version of LinkedIn Local. Not all people were just people were dealing hard, and so one of the things I like doing these events because we get to hear people's stories, we get to talk, we get to learn from the panel, we get to actually share, we break bread, we share stories. That's very meaningful to me as a speaker, as a coach, and the things that I do, and that's why I'm part of this. And kind of, getting over, although I don't know how long it's going to be over, like, is it ever over? Is it never, I don't know, and do the best we can. So then we ran our first event in July, and it was so great. And actually, we have an after party too. So we say, network here, then come to the pub. Last time in July, like everybody went. I was like, we couldn't they were talking and talking. 2 hours. The speaker showed up, which is kind of rare. Usually speakers that go home to their kids or whatever it might be. Up for a couple hours. And not saying no pressure. Not saying you have to. No pressure. But you know, it was just really glad to be back in live. So you guys excited about back to be live events again? Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget to network with each other. That's huge. We are all human beings. We're all like we're regular folks. Don't feel like that's not that person. They're like, oh my God, I'm so cool. I really get it. Everyone came in just like pull up their phone and just like hey, talk to each other. That's fine. We're talking to each other. That's great. We want to network. There's really decent people here, and some that I haven't even met myself. I know that. So make sure you network. Okay. And the main thing I want to say, for myself is, you're also DYPB. We ran a conference for 5 years now. We focus on personal branding. We have an online course, right? Because I believe that everyone needs to figure out their personal brand, discover that, then design them, then deploy that personal brand. Right? Get that DYPB. Discover, design, deploy. And then that strategy is for your career, for your business, for your digital marketing strategy. So, and I help kind of what I do. During the pandemic, because of those speaking, I focused more on coaching, which was certainly a lot of fun. So tonight, we're going to have the panel. We're going to have Q&A where there's food throughout. Feel free to get up in the middle if you need, just don't make a lot of noise. You can skulk around here, get some food, and go back, and that's totally fine. And here, Swish is here, and we're all here to, enjoy the event and have questions. And if you want to talk live stream, you can. It's being streamed right now.
No viewers.
All right, so with that, without further ado, I'm going to invite the panel up on stage. Check.
Oh, okay. I'm very grateful today. There is 3 incredible people who are talking about future tech. Am I echoing, by the way? I am echoing right now.
Yeah.
Why am I echoing? Lauren, we're echoing. Actually, can people hear me? That's pretty come up a little bit, but yeah, we have 3 incredible speakers. Our 4th sadly was not able to make it in the sense of might even have COVID, so he felt like it wasn't worth the risk to come out. Incredible people. So I will invite first and foremost Michael PERROW to the stage. Give him a round of applause. The second is Pat. And the third is Sujal. And so we'll learn from each one of them just what they do. That'll probably be the best starting ground. Is everybody for 1 minute wants to quickly try for anybody who might not know, it'd be amazing, and we can go from there. So Michael, will kick us off.
Thanks for having me. My name is Mike. I run a creative agency in Web3.
Hi guys, I'm Pat, the first job search platform for international students. It was fun myself to find jobs. Hi everyone, my name is SUJALA. I am the founder of Rainfed Foods. We focus on millets and sorghum in shaping the future. Hands quickly, how many of you here know what millets are? It's actually a pretty big ratio given the size of the room. I'll talk more about that later.
That's a great kind of segue actually to go into just to understand the audience. Like, how many people here are Web3, crypto, like future food? Any people kind of involved in that? Great. Any entrepreneurs in the room? Anyone running a business right now? Great. Okay. So there's actually pretty I think the first question I really wanted to go into was specifically, with Michael, talk about being a Web3 agency. What does that mean in the sense of, is it like a traditional agency, kind of focused around what people used to do around media marketing or creating graphic marketing, like those specifically do that is really focused towards Web3? Yeah.
Percent of our business is Web3 related.
Perfect.
So yeah, 70. Do I need this? Is this loud enough? Yeah. So 70% of our clients are Web3, basically design retainers. We do a lot of work for Shopify. They have so we have a team of 18 full-time designers that are doing internal documents and such. But the other 70% is all web related. So some of the stuff we do is help people strategize. So example is we do all of integrating blockchain and all the pillars of their different business, everything from leads to commercial. And then we also do design and develop the front end and the back end. We'll do smart contracts in this as well. Other stuff that's a little bit more on the NFT side. And then we'll also like design in it as well.
Great. And I probably should have led with this, but given the fact that there aren't as many people here, do you want to define for people even like if you had to put it in your own words, if I wanted to do it, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's definitely a long topic, a decentralized way of operating on the internet, and how you interact with the different. Great. It's my kid calling me from so, like Web 1 login would kind of be just like would kind of be like connecting to Facebook or Gmail's login to something. Web 3 would be connected up. And so you have a little bit more control over the information that you're sharing with the platform. And then about how communities and stuff interact with each other. It's a lot more about like sharing things than it is about like a central figure. For us, we've also integrated Web 3 in some of the stuff that we do, where we percentages of the NFT mint or the token launch, and that's kind of the idea. We're helping all that, and we should be along for the ride as well. And so that actually goes over very well with work with. And that's kind of like the blueprint that we're trying to create. Is that you should be creating.
For Pat, on your end, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? How did you come up with the idea for it? What really excites you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, can you guys raise your hand if you were born outside of Canada? Kind of the right ratio. I was born outside of Canada too. I came here 10 years ago. It was really actually working at a Thai restaurant, getting like $7 an hour. And I was like, you know what? I think I could do so much more, and then just working in the back of the restaurant. So over the years, I've seen so many of my friends just leaving the country, just despite being what they do, but didn't get the right opportunity. So I kind of came up with that out of university. I was like, well, you guys, like Canada is the fastest growing country today. We outgrew the growth rate of the States because how friendly we are with immigration. But one that actually can help support this group of growing population. So Greenville initially started as a community group. I used to sit down at a coffee shop like this, but like honestly, 4 people came out. I never sit down at a coffee shop and write entirely free of charge. After a couple of years, I was like, I had no business income and I didn't have a technology background whatsoever, just wanted to do it. And just keep doing it. And today.
And in terms of kind of the success you guys have had this far, you want to speak a little bit, gone through your platforms, you guys work, by the way, with the government, or do you guys kind of work independent from them?
As we technically integrate education institutions and countries, so then we can provide them with the right resources to bridge the employment gap. So what that charge employers on a monthly subscription fee to get access to this platform. So we have talents. We have just about 20,000 candidates on the platform now. We match them with the jobs. We give them, and then next year we actually integrate this platform to schools. So I
And Sujo, on your end, I mean, first and foremost, the core problem that you guys are solving, and even the food tech industry, I feel like there's so many years to come. I think some of us maybe would, food here has ever had like a Beyond Meat burger, for example. I think that's kind of the extent through which a lot of consumers see this is where food tech is going. If you want to speak on the market overall.
Sure. Let me keep this a little bit further. Yeah. Again, looks like quite a few people. The researcher in me wants to dive right into why and how many take it or not, but let's save that for later. But it just goes to show whatever that is, some curiosity. Some of you might be meat eaters, some of you might be plant-based eaters. It's not burger. So the impact of conventional meat and dairy and the amount of greenhouse gas emissions, we pretty much talk on a basis in the media, right? Has there been a day that you have not heard about that, whether social or any content you consume on a daily basis? Because it is massive. And of total global greenhouse gas emissions comes from conventional meat and dairy. And I am a conventional dairy company as a food scientist and project manager focused on scaling up manufacturing for cheese and ingredients. Decided on how I wanted to live the rest of my life or the impact that I wanted to leave on the planet. So 5 years ago to become a full-time entrepreneur and with the dairy experience to create plant-based dairy alternatives, because despite, again, consume a plant-based milk, quite a few. So there is a reason by the show of hands. So whatever that reason is, we can clearly that the consumer habits, consumer behavior is slowly but surely changing. Personal health reasons or ethical reasons for like focused on animal health and welfare. We won't go there right now, but environmental big concern for a lot of us. So being in the food industry, becoming experienced in food and agriculture and engineering, I just felt really compelled to bring a better, more resilient, more sustainable food system, and that's what led to creating.
Amazing. And I think you've done a good job of providing context on where we're going. And whenever I hear people in the food tech industry talk, is I always wonder like what individually I can do. Like beyond obviously the choices I make. Is there anything else people like coming out of this support the work that you guys are doing, for example, in regenerative tech?
And also, I know you talked about how it's exploding in terms of. One thing I also want to highlight is that in 2021 alone, the capital investment that went into alternative proteins, which is essentially all the plant-based, and also $5 billion. As tough as it might be to believe, 1 billion 10 years ago. So that number just shows the investment side and also the marketing side of the industry driven by consumer habits. So for those of you that did not raise a hand, you're still next time you're shopping or you're trying to and looking at the menu, look at what options have and with alternatives. But like I said, the responsibility doesn't just or organizations to reduce emissions. 8% of that the graph for emissions, but as consumers, I mean, we talk so much about plastic straws and plastic bags, but I feel like, but again, that's changing slowly, but it just has to start with each of us. This became a thing a while ago. I don't know if it still is, but whatever number you can replace your meal with a plant-based option, just never tried it. And if you don't even want to give it a try for whatever reason that might be, I'd love to understand why. Because, I mean, one thing I like to say is all need to play a role in every shape or form in contributing, continue to feed the population, which is going to be 10 billion by 2030.
Well, I think you've heard a really good background now on each one of the people here, right? I mean, I think what's really cool is this tech panel. We have clearly, somebody very built in kind of Web3 ecosystem in the future of hiring, and hopefully how hiring will look like in 5, 10, 15 years for food tech. I think one thing I wanted to ask each of you now is pretend like you weren't in the industry. What excites you outside of your industry about where tech is going? Is there something else you're really kind of keeping your eye on, whether it's reading articles or watching videos or staying in touch? Maybe we'll start with you.
What excites me outside of tech? I am really obsessed with what I do, so I don't really know. Lately, I've been following the use of AI and blockchain food for providing one more transparency in supply chains, for example, AI to actually reduce the speed of innovation or developing new food products. The impact of technology in different forms that we work in food and ag space. These are traditionally industries. So in the last few years, both big companies are like now looking at startups to see what cool things startups are doing early on. Are they trying to buy them out in like 2 to 3 years? So there's a lot going on. I'm in tune with how that is transforming.
Before I came on full time with this business, and I was this product manager, and I was doing kind of like the personalization strategy, like the TV watching platform and whatnot. So one thing I'm really more of it is like how we can use technology to really treat you as an individual. I think there's a lot of technology out there that really treats you as an umbrella, and bias that can come in with that. Everybody is so different. Like we have different needs. We have different, it really changed the way people are consuming content, or even just how can we as a business actually serve customers better by using these tech technology, the customer experience.
I like to work in a lot of the fields that I'm interested in. Like something that I think is pretty interesting again on the AI front is AI drives a lot of interesting platforms that are like DALL-E is an example of one that you can type whatever you want and the picture will appear, and this is new created art. This isn't great already. And I think that is quite interesting. We use it a little bit in Mood, which is kind of fun. But to see where that's going to go and see what the rights are behind that is pretty interesting too. There's been a lot of artists that have come up over the last couple of years that are like, there's some music that's AI. So I think AI is really interesting. now on like a mass adoption and have people integrating that into their existing business laws out of that. Like, you know, can you use AI art as a record label? Like, and it's not really defined right now, so I think it's going to be.
There's also a Toronto-based company, Wombo, right? There's an app called Wombo Dream. Shameless plug on it. But I should have led with that. But you can literally raise and produce art, and people are being like tweeting it out. You know, and it's been crazy. I before I was on Twitter a lot, I was seeing a lot of my friends from high school posting art photos. I'm like, you're a shit painter. How did this happen so good? And then I realized there was, you know, technology they literally just put a prompt into, and they were able to find Mid-Journey, Dolly. They're all trying to tackle that space, and it's super cool. Is there anything that you're a little bit? You have a background in music, right? Mm-hmm. So are you kind of afraid that maybe the true, authentic, like I guess, creative like vibe that a lot of artists, musicians had will kind of go away because
it's just a medium. Like, I think anytime they introduce something new, like iPhones became, you know, laptops made anyone a musician. Like, it's not. It's scary as some people are holding just a new way of using tools and like being creative. You think you do photos now, like videos. You'll be able to write something in a whole video, you'll be able to render out as computers get better. I think it's cool.
There was a company as well called Jasper that just raised $1 billion value, and they're basically trying to produce 10x the amount of content for you as a sales lead, like a sales. I can only imagine that a lot of the content will be consumed from companies will likely be generated easily. Is there anything you had at SUJALA on your end that you guys are afraid about? You know, when it comes to maybe not even AI, but as a future, is there a trend that you guys are a little bit like apprehensive about? That you're maybe like, we should be able to, or not? Are we good? As a society.
I don't know if apprehensive is actually more excited. In the space, there is a cultured meetup. How many of you here know what that is? A few. So being a live animal cell without killing the animal and then cultivating and then extracting those cells to make a steak. So just picture a steak that was no killed, but it looks like it's the exact amount of the steak. So that's technology borrowed from the pharma industry. So again, billions of dollars have been poured into the market. Actually, Singapore, if any of you are visiting Singapore, it's already in the chicken that gets made with culture meat technology. So I'm kind of excited for it, deep steak, but I don't crave it. It just goes to show how something that might have been considered reality now.
Yeah, I think for me it would be kind of the teaching the labor force to be able to adapt with the changing technology. Don't know yet if that education foundation is there, but like we are adding so much more to, you know, kind of the top industry, but like when all these kids grow up, like do they have like?
And I want to kind of double click on that tech reference. On that because like have you seen just being in the world of HR and like hiring, have you seen that the skills that companies looking for are radically changing your not having it?
I think like a lot of companies are still coming to me and be like, hey, like junior level, you know, entry level customer service roles, or even like not as exciting anymore, like accounting, for example. You know, like I was working with, like, I can't find talent in this country who want to work in this space because it's not sexy. And what do I do? I didn't outsource that. So, you know, kind of looking at the shortage and whether we as an economy have enough to fulfill the necessity. So it still needs to be there, you guys. realize like it's still human work, you know. I don't know if you've ever planted physically, you know, like
Zero.
yeah, I'm not me, like, you know, human, please, no bots.
Right. More around Toronto, the city. So obviously, we know there's a lot of really good work being done here in Toronto. There's a creative destruction lab at the University of Toronto. There is, Founders Institute here in Toronto. What do you guys feel about Toronto as a city for innovation here? Do you guys feel like we're slower here? What are kind of your general thoughts around this? And I would love to hear from Michael. Do you feel like we have enough people here that know what the hell they're talking about and are well versed?
Good question. I think Toronto is like interesting in a couple of ways. How the RTOs they have for companies that are public here, like to a lot of blockchain companies that otherwise probably couldn't go public. So Toronto has obviously Shred is really great too to kind of promote that. I think, like you said, it's hard to find talent, even like in the more sexy. So like some of the clients we work with, it's always a hard thing to kind of attract good talent. But I don't know, like I don't think we're going to get up and leave anytime soon. We've definitely had like the opportunity. We're able to find like really great developers and really great designers, and I was like quite supportive of Web3. Really good way. Like I'll go to international conferences. Question of people being from Toronto, so I think we put on for an international way.
For you?
I just moved here 6 months ago, so like that.
Where'd you move from, brother?
From Vancouver.
Vancouver.
I feel like people here are a lot more open and like want to talk to you. It's easier to network here. So here from the West Coast. It's Calgary. Yeah.
We don't have.
I would have differently 3 years ago, but in the food industry at least, I feel like, and I've been very pleasantly surprised in almost like virtual conferences and virtual networking. What I'm discovering is that people that are working in big, whether big or medium size, they now towards creating an impact with their jobs. So they're actually looking to work, looking to support in whatever they, in whatever way they can. So there is more equal. Same with finding advisors and mentors. Finding those people is hard. There isn't just enough of an ecosystem or these opportunities or to discover these gems. That's my. The government is trying, in at least for the alternative initiative called Protein Industries Canada. So there's been a number of initiatives created to advance food and ag in Canada, because you'd be surprised, but we're big in terms of the amount of crops that we produce, but more on the commodity side, not on the value addition side. So we actually grow and produce, export it to turn it into a value-added ingredient. So now Canada is trying to do that, providing a ton of funding for manufacturing sort of companies to create that. So I would say we're still a little bit behind on where we should be, but trending in the right direction very slowly.
In terms of adding to tech, for example, and your work in this industry, what do you think people can stay informed? Like, what is the best way you guys? Do you guys read a lot? Do you listen to a podcast letter that comes into your email each day? Like, what are some resources that you guys use to stay informed, not just in general, and trends and what's happening in the world?
It's like
might as well.
I would say LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, Twitter is for source. But I find that, like going to conferences really helps. A lot of really cool new technology are not even in the market yet. Like all the fresh ideas when you have it, when you talk to people. So event like this maybe you will find something out.
For me, I'm part of a lot of them are kind of like on the invite only side, but there's a lot of ones that are open, and I'd say Discord is another good resource for keeping your finger on the pulse, surrounding yourself with people with similar interests. But yeah, Twitter is obviously on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's kind of what I say up to date on.
I think a little bit of everything, in my opinion. Thankfully, I've had a good experience. There was quite a few events being organized at that time, and also I think the pandemic somewhat did a favor to the plant-based food industry. Oat milk has mask sales. I am not exaggerating. So there was a lot around alternative proteins and plant-based foods during the last 2-3 years. So there is all popping up. But if you want to specifically follow some industry newsletters, events that you would like to go to, please hit me up. You can definitely always reach out. Podcast too, there is a ton of amazing podcasts out there to stay on trends. They're content in every form, but yeah, I'm happy to get specific suggestions post panel.
Well, that I'd love to hear from your as well. One is the morning group for Canada. So check that out if you haven't already. But it's an email that comes in at 9 a.m. each day, and it's a very, very cool like summarizing news in general. It's not even just tech oriented, it's just general. So I really like to compete quite a bit. And the second is how I built this podcast. I think that one inspires me every time. I just get obsessed with people involved with it really quickly.
Actually, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
She answered it or not?
She had no.
Okay, cool. Are you taking?
No, not right now. But yeah. Actually, one more question, then we'll get ready to do it.
Yeah, no. I want to be respectful.
Perfect. No worries. Like the last question I do is around technical talent. So there are some people here that might want to start a company, do something within the future of tech, depending on whatever industry they're in. One of the things I know that restricts them is they're not technical themselves. So have you guys run into that challenge? And if so, how did you co-found or find somebody that was technical?
I guess to just talk about the challenge first, you have to do in order to get something. You can't be born with technical expertise, so you can always do your own projects or like set something up unofficially to build experience. For me, I actually don't have a technical co-founder, so I'm actually in the search doing likely put it in the universe. But it really depends on the stage where you are in the business. Like I kind of in the stage where I can build faster, deliver quicker with an outsourced team. Perhaps in the next 6 months or a year in-house. There's a lot of technical talents out there, and you really need to find someone to lead the team if you want them to be in a leadership role. I think there's a lot of good tech talents, but again, right, having communication skills and leadership skills all together, it's going to take time to search.
Michael, can we go next?
Sure. So how do you increase your technical skills? We were just doing brands, like we were just doing logos, and then our customer journey, everyone kept asking for, okay, let's figure this out. And a lot of it is just figuring out a place where you can start actually offering that as a service that you're confident about, and just slowly like envelope each time. Now we have like 5 full-time developers, and we're errors on other people's accounts, but I'm just do it. Like, how does this work? Like spend some time actually going through the process. Go wallet, go get a seat pricing website, go sign up to these really cheap NFT. It doesn't need to be like a crazy amount of money. Go buy $100 worth. They don't know until you actually like try, and often it's probably a little bit more intimidating than a million YouTube videos out there for everything. And LinkedIn videos.
Yeah. You're really trying to promote the LinkedIn side of your class, right?
Can I also add to that too? Technology makes it sound sexy, but you don't need technology to build a good company, technology to solve a real problem. You know, like I built this company with me, myself. We still laugh at it today. Like we read resume, we send it to employers, we make money. We figure that out, then technology comes and make it even go faster. But you don't want to apply it, then you know it's just high tech stuff.
In terms of, so I am a technical founder. I guess initially when I started looking for co-founders, now I've come to learn the opportunities to find co-founders. Like I guess one of them is Founder Institute that you mentioned earlier. But the studios, I believe they're called Entrepreneur First, which actually gives you money if you get it. And they run a few different locations around the world. I think so. These are all great places to find a co-founder, which is definitely a thing to do. But I don't know how many of you here have heard, but it's like a marriage. It's actually even more riskier, challenging being in a marriage, I believe. You don't lock yourself into a co-founding relationship right away. First, get to know that person, build a relationship. You work together for a trial period and try to solve a problem together and see if you both have a problem. And even if one is not passionate, one just wants to make money, but that you have to come into acceptance with that fact. If you really value, but that might be just okay with you, and that may not be okay with you. So I guess all I'm trying to say is a particular answer, but like one of you shared, sometimes it's a learning experience. One kind advice based on my experience, if it doesn't work, end it immediately, but gets worse.
Love it. So we are going to get into the audience. I would love if you are going to ask a question, please stand up. Just introduce yourself very quickly, if you don't mind, and feel free to ask a question. If you direct your question, by the way, to one member of the panel, feel asking everyone. But Nick, I will defer to you to kick us off there.
Yep, sounds good. You just said that.
Tom.
Yeah. Questions for Michael Bush. I've actually never personally understood the pull of AI generated art here from your lens. If you're excited about it, what problem do you guys think it actually solves? And where do you understand its use case for mood boards? But in a long-term sense, it just kind of seems like people are just like fucking around, just using their most. People are messing around and they're typing stuff into the internet and art's coming out of it. So I'd love to take. And also, if any of the panelists have takes.
I think for me, I see applications in a few ways, right? Starting the person that loves creating but is a terrible painter and drawer myself. I actually think that the ability to create art very quickly through a prompt is kind of maximizing my ability for human expression, right? Like, I also looked at, there were a couple of really interesting case studies in Australia where people on psychedelics, the ability to actually visualize what they saw during the trip, which was pretty interesting. A lot of people that are now looking at mental illnesses, for example, and people that are going through mental illness experiences in a more visual format than just doing it with a therapist in a verbal format. Maximizing human expression. I think in terms of just the core applications, gaming, film, TV needs storyboarding to be done, right? But the storyboarding process can be incredibly arduous, and especially for small gaming studios, they probably don't have that many resources to create an artist. The ability for me to literally panel by an entire game or the pilot for a movie or a TV show could be done using AI generated. Thank you. I don't care every night. I tell myself, I'm like, this has to be
I just asked the AI. Please give me
yeah.
similar to that. Like, I think it's really empowering to anyone who doesn't have the ability to do, which is, you know, a large majority of us. If you're a fashion nerd and you're like, if that's the direction I want to go, and then you can go bring it back to your team and be like, okay, let's go in this direction. To be like, oh, you're ripping off some idea that wasn't your own. Like, you helped figure out what words got where that was. And so I think there's a lot of interesting applications where people visually express themselves or have the idea in their head. Now, okay, that's what I have in my head. Now I'm going to common language there. I think, you know, you could create a whole movie. You know, a kid could go along and storyboard out a whole film, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's generated. You know, AI music, for example, like, yeah, most of it's going to be complete. I hear one thing, you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I haven't seen that combination before. And that's like, you know, an actual full-fledged production that makes some way.
That's great answers. Anything, Jack, you recommend there? Any other questions, guys? Or do you mind setting up? I'm so sorry. There's a pen video and it's like people can't see. Perfect.
I have a quick question. I'm just very ready to myself from business for having but in terms of environmental impact is a good interest to meet alternatives as well. So I'm wondering if we need products and alternative meat in terms of environmental.
I can share a graph that shows the exact amount of number of liters of water that's consumed by beef, chickens to eggs. But beef is the highest water consuming using meat you can consume. So it's hard to generalize because, for example, if we compare almonds consume a lot of water to grow. So almond milk is still high on the top side. Whereas, is it better than consuming milk from the environmental footprint? Absolutely. But compared to soy, so resource intensive in terms of, you know, it's being it's driving deforestation, for example, in the really at a very, very alarming rate in the last few years. And I'm sure we've all heard about it. Even with plants, we have to be conscious of what we're choosing, and which is why foods that we consume is really key. And one of the reasons we focused on millets and our rainfed crops, they improve biodiversity. They grow naturally, organically. They do. Name comes from it's just means rainwater. So it's a rainfed crop. Super sustainable to grow is less water, fixes nitrogen in the soil, so which means it better. So the ecosystem of the soil can thrive. So there's, you know, to each different plant category or different crops, different types of. But overall, there is a significant difference between the conventional meat and dairy that's much smaller in terms of the environmental footprint. Hope that. Mm-hmm. That is a somewhat of a new technology. I don't know how well the life cycle assessments have, but I know a company called Perfect Day, for example, is making dairy protein using a fermentation process. So they have done their LCA, prove that it is significantly better than traditional dairy protein.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm from Xero. I was chatting with earlier that are starting to look for the next opportunity that they might move to, or maybe they get their next opportunity next. You guys have really interesting ideas in terms of business teams. Where do you look for great people? What is it specifically that you look for when you're building it?
I can take that one first. Great question. LinkedIn. But honestly, so we posted on LinkedIn and that we've been able to recruit is primarily people that kind of reach out to their why they want to work for us. It's really the why behind the company that motivates them to apply and reach out. So as a purpose-driven company that is mission focused, that is a key driver in our hiring to buy into what we do. So that's our number one. We look for that even in some of the partners that we work with. So again, I work LinkedIn in job searches, but although at the same time, don't just like an application in like, you know, the autofill way, like reach out to somebody and write. That matters a lot. Make your application stand out in some way other than like the whole. You'll get like 100 or a few hundred resumes on LinkedIn, and as overwhelming sorting through those applications. But if someone even says, "Hey, I have this amazing skill from working at this company to the role you're hiring, would love an opportunity to talk," and that's what made me. And we talked, and it was a match. So that works.
Where to find the talents?
Yeah.
Isempower.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was talking to my team, who's also here today. Yesterday, I'm like, I read you guys' resume. Like, how legit you're working with me for a year. I never read your resume. I never read their resume because, you know, similar story. Like, they reached out to me, they position themselves as a special job, and then it's more like the conversation. Like, at the end of the day, you want who can actually go in, day out, commit to the work that you do. You can always teach them the hard skills. And I forgot what your question said. In messages, we have a whole course on that. Not like, I'm really like, done, can I get this job? You know, like, really just be authentic. And as a growing hiring as well on the employer side, you don't know when you're going to get the best talking, and just thinking about what you need to hire in the next 6 months, a year, or 2 years. Pipeline of people.
For a lot of different roles, all the designers, we typically look at portfolio of someone's resume is most of the time. I don't read them. It's more like a portfolio and the work with that. You know, we have three different recruiting companies looking at all different times, HR, who's constantly going through resumes. I think in terms of like, you know, being pretty select with what you're going after. Don't just go apply for 1 million jobs. Things you really want to be doing, and what companies are operating in that space, and like pretty application and reaching out. And, you know, LinkedIn, the premium messaging is pretty good, like Box, which is really great, or try and get that inside, you know, email. Being pretty direct, I think, is a good way to go about it. A lot of stuff comes from my office is through someone recommended them, or you know, I do a lot of offering like Ethereum for like finding maximum out of the theory of it. And I've actually found that to be like quite a good way of getting introduction.
Yeah, our as well, I think referrals would be really helpful. Just, mom and friends, if you're, by the way, looking for a job, this is a hack that helped me when I was in college, specifically with just meeting people in general. I realized that so many people, one message they tend to send is, can I take that? For a lot of recruiters, I feel like in October, especially if you're like Deloitte, they just shut their laptop down. Oh, God, this message for copy during this time because it's recruiting season. So one thing I found was if you have like a podcast on Medium or LinkedIn, why not just reach out to someone and say, hey, can I take 10 to 15 minutes of your time? And I just think 99% of people love talking about themselves in the day. So go ahead and play to that nature and try to go and reach out by interviewing someone. Again, this has to be like professional. I went to college, I recorded it on GarageBand and exported it to SoundCloud. And I think I was the only bunch of wannabe rappers around me. So it can be really raw and scrappy. And the second thing is I do have an idea that I think somebody should run with and please build. But this is an idea that I think would be so it's a full-fledged company, but I definitely think it's a product. Zoom calls and hangouts. Like how many times have we examined and said, I'll follow up with an email. Why can't we build something that just takes a call and then looks at the most important facets of the call and builds you a personalized send? It would be incredible.
Use Fireflies.
No, okay, well, it's already been made.
Well, the Fireflies, like, it transcribes your whole thing and you put a search holding and highlighting stuff.
But is it great?
No, it doesn't then go do something.
Never mind, we're back in market. Let's go.
I'll straight up.
Yeah.
Hey Michael, my name is Maxwell. I have a question for you. We know the technology is evolving around fast than speed of light. So I have a question, maybe 10, 20 years down the road, we're going to interact. So I'm particularly concerned about military. Can we integrate AI to military? Elon Musk said to himself, he has nuclear weapons, right? So in the future, are we going to work for AI?
I'm definitely not the expert on AI, but I have no idea what's going to happen in 10 or 20 years. I think a lot's going to happen. I honestly would not be the most educated person to ask military, but I'm hoping it works with us, and we'll see what it ultimately looks like. We can hopefully just unplug it if there's an issue.
It's pretty insane though to see the Boston that it seems like that robots doing like crazier shit. So I'm just like, wow, okay.
For a collab,
That would be very cool. Any other questions? We'll do one more maybe. Yeah. Ready?
Actually, we'll get session. So, my question is regarding the question and so it's about that transition to use our technical person. And I want to build something, but in this topic, one that you have built today, and then most of the time spent with that. So you are doing the family and all the other factors. Most of the time we spend over there. So it's something that's blocking me from doing over there, but it's a conversation here and looking at all for you. How did you make that decision to go from partnering with companies? Like, how did you make decisions over there? And what's the best practice?
I don't know if there's ever a best time for it. I mean, sooner than later, like making that move. But the name Nightshift came from exactly that. It's pretty decent jobs, but ultimately, weren't super motivated, and we worked at night. That's what we did, and then we did that for 2 years. Eventually, he went full time before I did, and then I went full time, and we started slowly grew. really want it, like it was time for it.
I was building this company as a side hustle for 2 years, so having exactly the same problem, like I need to get my immigration status, so I cannot believe that I'm big enough. And there's always going to be millions of reasons for you to doing it. So you have to plan for it. Again, like I really believe what you said. Everybody's playing their own games. Everybody's financial situation is different, and I understand how to work towards it. Maybe count out, like save $1,000 every month, have 6-month runway, and be smart about how you're going to spend that life. And look for grant. Always ways for you to find money. Like you have to jump. I mean, I've jumped about close to a year now, and I feel like my business just quadrupled than doing 2 things, because if you're doing 2 things, you suck at those, right? So you just have to pick one that really matters to you.
Similar answers, but I did live through it as well, as a large dairy company, and I explored this as a side hustle for 2.5 years, and then I knew I wanted to leave that goal of 2017. So I told myself that I am going to somehow figure out a way. I had to financially plan for like a 6-month runway, and to add more pressure, I was a parent, a solo parent. My daughter is 14 now. She was 7. No, I'm confused now. Trying to do the math. She does grow up. But yeah, so I had to take care of a child on my own, and I have like no family here. So if you have any of those, then that's a blessing. But there is a lot of sacrifices, whether that be not taking vacations or not indulging any experiences that cost money, things like that. Services, but even after I left my full-time role, things fall apart. Often go exactly as you planned. No one says that. So I had to consulting jobs, part-time, and different types. Some are not even in food tech, but skills that I can transfer things. So did that for a little bit, took out some business loans. There's babies or futurepreneur. So some of those can be helpful when you're tech. Eventually, I'm finally at the stage where I'm paying myself for the last 2 years, and thanks to being able to raise some capital and fund Rainfed. But yes, the struggle is real. You do have to plan for it. It makes it a lot more harder because the rest is just not for yourself.
But I don't want to lose you, so I'm keeping this to myself. Would be, obviously for me, I never actually held a full-time job. Like I started to serve after college, but one of the things I remember kind of going through when I had to make a decision on whether to drop out or not. This is, again, coming from a massive position of privilege, in my opinion. That's the idea of like I could always not roll. And I don't know if that's the case for you as well, but I think someone as talented as you, I obviously know you, you're resume, thought of maybe taking the leap, and even if it doesn't work, being able to get back to that job, even, especially with someone like me who is very, very fond of you. So it is noting that if you were to feel like you're crossing the Rubicon and you can't come back. I want to try. Anyways, thank you so much to the panel. Give them a round of applause. If that's fine, we'll do the open mic. So the open mic, easily, thank you so much. Bobby and I's favorite session throughout the entire year. Like this open mic session is because we allow any single person in this room to come up on stage anything you want. Literally for 30 seconds, come up and just promote whatever it is. Whether you're looking in Canada and you're looking to start your business, you're looking for investors, you're looking for customers, whatever it is, I promise you, I will cut you off. At 30 seconds, please make sure to come up with what you want from this community tonight. So does anyone want to get this off? I've done a few of these now. The hardest person to get. But is there any bold people out here that are willing to take that plus something? Or you just tell us who you are. Yep. Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. There we go.
Of course. Hey, I'm Tim Tate. Here from Niagara Falls. I lived in New York City for 15 years. I 10 years ago, and there was a LinkedIn local in New York City, and I heard of him because he's like a celebrity on LinkedIn. But I'm here tonight because I've been 3 years basically, and I'm trying to get out there and make my connections that I have, just be part of the community. I've worked in coffee forever. I'm tech in some way or another. I have a desire to affect the world in a positive way. I want to take the tech industry and combine them. What I want to do is take emissions out of the equation in the coffee industry. Everybody roasts with gas. From that, I want to move towards electricity and change the industry. I want to say that yes, you can roast in the sun, and nobody believes that right now. So I want to be a person that can change that.
Anybody else? Thanks, by the way, was the first meetup I ever threw in my life.
Yeah, I just second. I turned.
It was Washington Square Park, and like 9 people showed up, and it was still like one of the it was so funny. I love that place. Anybody else? Yes, thank you, Brittany.
Hi everyone, my name is Ramneep. I'm just going to give a success story of LinkedIn. My first event was actually DYP's LinkedIn Low-Wayne. I just started posting content on LinkedIn, and I never really built a platform, and it's actually Swish who inspired me to create content because I was, again, and he's a superstar there. And because of all the things I did on LinkedIn, we met on LinkedIn, and that made me now work for a startup and I've been one of those persons who always believed in the power of LinkedIn, and it has given a career for an accountant to transition into tech. So if anybody's looking for LinkedIn, I just hope this reason's enough. So thanks.
Anyone else? There we go, sir. Thank you. That'd be great. And I'll get to you right after.
I'm Brian, Chief Swish, followed you for a while. I have a company called Speak AI. We recently did a round of funding through Techstars, and a lot of scrutiny on us right now in a good way. And one of the things is you start building software and platform for social eyes on it. So really right now, we take a product, we transcribe, we analyze audio with text data. We're just looking to get some feedback and just like someone go sign up, it's free, as critic that you possibly could. So it's speakai.co. My name is Tyler Bride. We'd love to connect and generative AI on topics that we talked about. I'm grateful to some people back in person tonight. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. There's a person back there. Perfect. Give him a round of applause.
Hi everyone. So my name is Anish. So right with my job, so I was working as a contractor for Google. So I was digital account strategist in a startup. So basically, it's an Airbnb for shelf space at local businesses. So like D2C brands are facing challenges marketing their products and customer acquisition. So they are looking for different venture, I would say different places. That's what I'm building on. So if you have extra money for angel investing, I can share the happy.
Thank you. Any people, Bo, come on up. Applause.
Hello everyone, my name is Mo. Actually, the last one in July, and since then I actually started a page called Canadian Income, where I firstly, and since then, it's been like 3 months. I've accrued like 10 followers, just talking to people. So I'm just trying to tell you guys, if you want to do something, start it now. Out of your comfort zone. That's pretty much it.
Any final people? That person in the very back, I think that's Bobby's son, right?
I'm 14, so I'm too young to have a job. Feel free to follow me on any of my media. I don't have a phone, but I don't have any, except I have for Bitmoji and YouTube, which I post on once a year. And what to say, I like coding, and I guess this is a tech thing, so that's kind of relevant. I don't know.
Good job. And you can, by the way, solve a Rubik's Cube in like 30 seconds. Which 13, sorry, not bad. I can do 30 actually. Okay, can't do that. Sorry, there's somebody else back there. Yes, please come on up. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Marilee. I recently reskilled for work in Canada. So this event is somewhat a way of a tangent separate from the future of tech. And I've worked with organizations like Ontario Place and connected with like more international people in the cybersecurity international like and serve. And I found it extremely difficult finding communities, internet governance community, who are thinking about the future of tech from those lenses. Looking to network, connect, find people that are looking for the future of policy in these spaces, as well as approaching the problem. And the notion, I went to an event with Ontario where they said there were so many skill gaps for the tech industry, especially for cybersecurity, but we know that there are a lot of skilled people in Canada that move to these industries. So if you're interested in having conversations about that, precarity, cybersecurity, internet governance, and the future of tech, I would love to. Thank you.
And one final person, our third thing, applause. Thank you.
My name is Cloud Architect, and I work for a company, and at the same time, side hustle to help a lot of people to industry. Like I worked in university, I saw the big gap between like what the companies in the industry needs. It's very that's why I built this to help like people who want to do. And instead of going to university for 4 years and spend that time, you can actually, if you focus time every day for 6 months, you can get better job afterwards. And that's all.
All right, so just to wrap up, we were here, so welcome her up. Thank you very much.
Hi guys. So I wanted to do 2 plugs. One, Xero is a cloud for small and medium businesses. A lot of people in this room as founders have been those small to medium. It's actually for our customers, those small to medium businesses. It has been an incredibly tough. It continues to be a really tough space for them. So if you can buy local, if you can support us, Canada in Toronto, please, please, please do so this year. I would love that. The second plug that I have is so many Canadians who work at those small businesses, and with everything that's happened in the pandemic, there's been a lot of negative attention that's, so if you can say thank you the next time that you get a coffee, that you get a t-shirt, that you go in and made a card at your local bookstore, please do that. Give those people those love, because it's day in and day out, and yeah, they really need our support. So thank you.
So just to wrap everything up, and I know we're going to get back into networking, food, drinks. Thank you all for being here once again. These events, we're going to host them every 3 months. I think we have been here in early December. So we're hoping to be able to do one before everyone leaves for Christmas. Thank you to Bobby and the DYPB team and all the volunteers again for doing such a great job. Let's give them a round of applause. And before we end off, because we always forget to do a photo, I think would just be amazing. We're trying to make like a collage and an album, if you will, and we can constantly bring up these local meetups in Toronto. So if everyone can kind of come into this general area, that would be awesome to photo and then end off and get back to the network. So thank you again.